All right, everyone. In today's episode, I'm super excited to welcome to the show Mike Banner, who has worked across 4 different states, Arizona, California, Nevada, and now Utah, for 4 of the top 10 builders in the US, including D.R. Horton, Richmond American, Pulte, and Meritage. Mike is now the VP of Sales and Marketing at Visionary Homes. Super excited to welcome here because he's got a breadth of knowledge that he's going to share with us today. So welcome, man. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to talk shop, and it's what I love to do. So thanks for having me.
Amazing. Well, you are in the beautiful state of Utah. You got the Olympics coming in a few years. We were just talking about a PGA Tour event happening there. So there's obviously, it's a growth state. Am I right?
Yeah, there's a lot of really good things going on with Utah. We're ranked number 1 in a few categories nationally, but the economy's super strong. Market's great. So a lot of really positive things happening for the state of Utah.
Amazing. So where do you guys fall as far as, why don't you tell us a little bit about Visionary Homes and where you guys fall in the state of Utah?
Yeah, you bet. So Visionary is a private home builder based out of Logan, Utah, which is Cache Valley, way up in the north. And over the last 4 years, we've saw some pretty massive growth. So as it sits today, we'll finish with about 750 closings this year in the state of Utah. So that's St. George all the way up to Logan. And that will put us number 4 in Utah behind DR, Ivory, and Edge Homes. So, we're a decent sized builder. We're going to be looking to expand outside of Utah over the next 2 to 3 years, looking to grow on the west side of the state. So we're 50-50 mix with single family and multifamily. So we do a lot of townhomes and condos, which, appeals to the affordability issue we're having in the state of Utah. But yeah, we love it. We love to make our homeowners happy, and we're very proud of the product we put out on the market.
Right on, man. I mean, before the show, we were talking a little bit about the NAR settlement that you'd mentioned. Now that the dust is starting to settle around that, what are you seeing happen? How are you seeing it affect your business now?
I mean, obviously there's a lot of buzz about it and a lot of chatter, what was going to happen. What I'm seeing in the state of Utah, very minimal impact or change. Obviously the biggest thing is, the agents are required to get that buyer broker prior to visiting Visionary. But from our side of the, things that we're seeing, I mean, it almost feels like nothing really happened, to be candid and honest from what we're seeing. And it's just, real estate agents are such a big part of the business. And so, we run somewhere between 75 and 80% of our deals, have an outside agent. So we're very, realtor friendly.
All right, agents, listen up. So 75 to 80% have an outside agent, and you haven't seen much change other than people coming with a piece of paper, signed piece of paper saying, hey, I have agency. Because we were a big part of this conversation initially, and it's like, there were some people who are a lot more calm about it, not too worried, thinking, okay, I just got to learn how to, have a new conversation. And there was others who were getting in a little bit of panic mode, because what I learned was sometimes that was when their broker was in a panic mode and that trickled down. But you guys are literally seeing not much difference at all.
No. And I think, from conversations I've had with, relationships I have, I think the biggest challenge, on the outside world is just probably being able to convey to their buyer, that they're accountable for paying for that, compensation. Now, a lot of the people I'm talking to are saying, hey, I'm going to talk to the builder or the seller, and, they'll absorb that cost. But I think that's probably their biggest challenge, is just having a conversation with someone and letting them know at the end of the day they're accountable for the commission payout, but most likely the seller will absorb it. But no, we're still seeing the same amount of participation. Over 3/4 of our sales are representation. So yeah, I'm not seeing massive change like a lot of people thought they were going to see.
I didn't think there would be, and there was already some states, like one of our clients was in Washington, and they implemented this a while ago. So she wasn't worried about it because she's like, hey, we've already kind of had to do this. When I actually originally got licensed in my market, we had to do something very similar, and everyone kind of, freaked out about it at first, and then it just ended up not being as big of a deal as people made it out to. So you mentioned that most of the deals you guys do by a large margin is with outside agents. We've had this conversation on the podcast a lot recently. How are you guys treating or prioritizing or not prioritizing outside agents from now on into the future?
Yeah, so we're looking to roll out a new VIP program at the beginning of the year. And what we want to do, we just want to make it as easy as possible, for the broker community to do business with Visionary Homes. We really want to be the builder of choice for that community. And so, through focus groups and feedback, I'm just trying to solicit as much information as I can to make this VIP program as beneficial as possible. But, what I'm hearing, it's, easy registration, maybe VIP priority on releases. We're going to roll out something in the beginning of the year just to try to make their lives as easy as possible. Now, one pitch I want to put out there is, for the rest of the year, which we launched September 1, we are actually doing a contest for whoever can bring us the most business. We're going to send them, 3 nights to Mexico +1 and just reward, the hard efforts and for them bringing us business. So if you're an outside agent in Utah, come sell Visionary and we'll send you on a trip to Mexico.
Love it. Well, I lived in Mexico for a while. Beautiful country. Amazing. So how's the VIP program going to work? Can you spill any details on that yet?
There's a lot of programs out there, and I don't know, what airline you fly. Utah's big on, Delta. And, once you join, the Delta Club, there's a lot of perks and, things like that. And that's what we want to do is create some unique opportunities for, our VIP broker community, people that, bring us repeat business. We definitely want to reward them. So probably, higher commissions, each deal they bring in, they're going to get paid more, VIP on the releases. So when we open up new communities, we want to give their clientele, first choice. A portal where they have information that they can go register. And so those are some of the few things we're thinking about. VIP dinners, and, we're partnered with the Utah Jazz. So we have some awesome opportunities to get people into the suite and, have a VIP experience watching the Utah Jazz play basketball.
Well, I want to talk a little bit more about that as well, but let's into this VIP program. It's interesting because we do, we are in the new home lead generation world, and we always talk to agents about this is if you're going to be in the new home business, you should be a specialist because you get access to programs like this, and then you get inventory before other people do. And that actually is a net benefit for you and your client. And it actually allows you to provide some value that other agents can't. And I think that's harder to do on the resale side, especially on the buy side. Obviously on the sell side, there's lots of stuff you can do, but on the buy side, outside of looking at MLS, there's not much you can do other than prospect unlisted homes to try and find off-market opportunities. But with new homes, being in with the builders in a big way can get you this kind of VIP access that otherwise you just wouldn't have. And so we always position it as this is how you sell yourself, is the fact that you have these kind of ins. And I think a lot of agents just kind of dabble in new homes and they sell them when that is convenient or someone's interested. But how many of the agents that bring stuff to you are I don't know if you know the exact numbers, but percentages, how many of the agents that bring business to you are specialists in new homes and they do a ton of new homes and they're always in your offices versus how many are kind of those agents that are more focused on the other side of the market? Yeah,
it's a great question. And that's what we really want to advocate for is more specialists, especially with Visionary Homes. But what I have, the last few years, so 90% of the transactions that come to Visionary, from an outside broker, they're only doing one deal a year with us. So 90%. And then the 10%, these are the heavy hitters that are bringing us, 4, 5, 6, 7 deals a year. And so I'd consider them more the specialists. But the value with us, is we'll do a lot of the heavy lifting. So if you can just get your client to our office, then we'll, do the white glove VIP process, keep you in the loop, communicate with you, but we'll do the heavy lifting for the agents. And so it's really a fantastic opportunity. And we have a, lot of inventory, right now that can close quick and get those commissions paid out fast. But to answer your question, 10% of our overall business is, I would say repeat, and they're all in with the new home construction.
So that's who the VIP program is going to be for, is those specialists or people who want to end up doing more. It's interesting because, there's some builders right now who are going the opposite direction, who are not prioritizing outside agents. And there's some builders like, we had Cliff at Meritage on, and he's making a big splash about prioritizing agents. You guys obviously are doing that as well. You said, I feel like 2025 is kind of going to be the year. Cliff talked about launching some stuff. Yeah. You're talking about launching some stuff. I feel like this conversation is going to heat up a little bit. And I have some thoughts around it. And some of it might be a little controversial, but like in theory, an agent shouldn't persuade their client, to buy something because it makes them more money. But we would be amiss to say that's not going to happen on some level, likely. And especially when you're looking at comparable product. Because it happens, right? You can sometimes look at comparable products and, they might give a little nudge in one direction if they say, hey, I have a great relationship with this builder. They treat us well. Their process is smooth and products are maybe similar. I don't know. What do you make of that? And is that part of the thinking behind some of this incentive programs or VIP programs for agents?
Yeah. What's really interesting, what I've seen in my career, being 20 years in home building, the increased dollar, revenue for the outside broker doesn't drive the behavior like you think it would be. So say we put everything at 5% today, you're not going to see like this huge uptake in sales. But what does is if you take care of their buyer, you provide them a world-class experience, you communicate really well, you close when you're supposed to, and you do what you're supposed to. I think that's what you get the loyalty. And one thing I've been piloting right now is, on repeat business, we'll credit, say it's $2,000 to $3,000, and we'll actually let the outside agent decide, do they want to put that in their pocket? Or do they want to help assist their buyer, with closing costs or prepaids or rate buy down? And more often than not, they're actually helping out their buyer, with the transaction. So I think definitely a stereotype, they're chasing the money, but I think it's more the loyalty and the buyer experience and knowing that the deal will get done versus just changing the dollar. But so that's we're trying to provide that world-class experience to the buyer and the outside agent.
That's amazing. I'm glad you said that because that makes a lot of sense. Because as an agent, you can recommend confidently someone a lot easier if you do it on that basis. Hey, the experience with you guys with Visionary has been incredible every single time. And it's a lot easier to obviously recommend them for a strong reason like that.
Yeah. And if you think about a restaurant or, if you're going to recommend it to a friend, the reality is if there's compensation or not, you're probably not going to do it unless they're going to do what they say. So that's kind of the ticket to the dance is you got to perform. Otherwise, I don't think the higher commissions will do you much good.
That's really, really good to know that you haven't seen that. Because I've always thought like maybe it happens a little. I'm assuming not most of the time. But if you guys haven't really seen anything like that move the needle, to me, that's a really good sign. So you can focus on delivering a high quality service. So
I will say, sorry, one thing real quick. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you. Now, however, if the compensation is below market, then I think then you see that behavior that you're talking about. So conversely, the other way, I do think that would drive a behavior where, they're not bringing clients to you. But long as you're within the market, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. Yeah,
I'm glad you said that. That makes sense. Because if you're offering 4 and someone else is offering 0, you're probably going to see a difference there. But if you're offering 4 and someone else is offering 3 or 3.5, like it's probably, you're not going to see a material difference there. But there are some builders who aren't looking to offer much, if anything. And that's where I think this conversation is getting interesting. I'm on the side of the fence where I believe the builders that are prioritizing agents like you and like Cliff are going to see a net positive from that over time. And I think the agent community is really liking hearing this from the builders because in their experience, sometimes it's been a little up and down depending on how the market's gone. But I think this narrative shifting is going to be a really positive for everyone.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope with operators because, I've been, with a lot of builders, and that conversation always comes up. If we could save 2 or 3% off the bottom line, and it gets tempting, but it's a really slippery slope to dance. And it's not one we want to entertain.
Well, you take it off the bottom line and then you put it back into generating the top line in the way of marketing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So speaking of marketing, you guys are the preferred builder of the Utah Jazz. That's pretty cool. How's that gone for you?
Yeah, it's been amazing. So we're headed into our 3rd year, partnering with the Jazz, and they have the strongest brand in the state of Utah. Mm-hmm. And so for us to put Visionary Homes next to the Jazz note or the Utah Jazz, it's just been an amazing experience for us. So, we're in every single game, you'll see Visionary Homes. We get to do some fun halftime concerts where, last year we did a, shoot a half court shot to win a Visionary Home, which was super fun. But as far as, us being a small builder now coming into a large builder, for brand recognition, it gave us a massive push. And, the company started in Logan, Cache Valley. Now we're down Salt Lake, Utah County, St. George. No one knew who we were. And so for us, it was a strategic partnership to get our name and brand out there. So when, they're asking their friends, what do you know about Visionary? There's that instant brand recognition.
Yeah, totally. And that breeds into a little bit more trust. So I'm a big hockey fan, but I'm a Canucks fan. Any plans to approach the Utah Hockey Club?
Yeah, so we're definitely in talks with them right now.
Cool.
With the Utah Hockey Club, there's a lot of buzz in the city. A lot of, I've heard they're sold out. So the city is super excited. Very fortunate how it worked out to get a hockey team. The owner of the Jazz, he's super excited. He's doing a lot of great stuff for the state of Utah. So yes, don't be surprised if you see us working with the hockey team also.
All right. Well, my Canucks will come down and show you guys how to play hockey. So, and maybe I'll come with them. So
please come on out.
Let's pivot a little bit. That's really cool marketing wise. I love that, being involved in sports. I mean, that's been a big part of my life. But what about sales? Like, where do you guys generate your leads primarily? And talk a little bit about, as the, sales and marketing leader, how you structure your sales teams. What are you guys doing there digitally? Like, talk me through that stuff a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. So like I mentioned, a bunch of our business is through the outside brokerage. So a lot of that's, boots on ground relationships, one-on-one. But when we're looking at just pure lead generation, a lot of we're kind of all in on the digital side. So, on the Google, pay-per-click or ads is where we're super heavy with our advertising. We have a tiny bit traditional, billboards, radio, stuff like that, but we're all in organic SEO, paid SEO, Google. So that's where we see most of our traffic. And then also, a lot of like builders use, between BDX, these realtor.com, Zillow, we have coming in, but we're really trying to drive people to our website via the Google, online marketing that we're doing.
Amazing. Well, you're looking at the Google Ads real estate guy right here. I mean, that's been my whole thing on YouTube. So, I love to hear that. I mean, that's obviously what we do, for people as well. So tell me about that. Like, obviously I know how this works is when people are searching for new homes in a certain area, you're going to pop up as an ad. You're also working on SEO, so you're going to show up organically in some cases. What does the process look like after that? How do you structure the sales team? Do you guys have ISAs? Do you have the infield agents calling those leads? How do you structure that?
The whole point is we're going after people searching for new homes today. So our net, is a lot, more strategic than this broad net. But we have what we call an online sales team. So we have 3 full-time people dedicated, to convert these leads. And their whole objective is to set appointments for our on-site sales team. Right now, 40% of our overall sales originate with our online sales team.
Wow.
And just on a high level, speed wins, the consumer today wants information now. And the reality is, your on-site sales team probably doesn't have the right skill set. B, hopefully they're touring people, converting people, closing people. So C, to have someone dedicated, from about 7 or 8 to 6, non-interrupted, focused on just pure lead conversion, I think is just the way to do it. So it's either they're coming in email, click to chat, phone calls, and then when they're not coming in, they're outbound prospecting, to help that pipeline convert.
Right. It's not complicated, is it? It's funny how we like to get away from the basics, but that's exactly what we teach. It's like speed to lead, ask open-ended good questions, and just be on top of them and being consistent. It's still and that's where a lot of people struggle. We used to help agents build ISA teams and hire them and whatnot, and it's the same principles always apply.
They're a huge asset to our team. Our on-site team loves getting their appointments because they know they convert at a higher percentage. And so, I've had online sales teams probably for the last 10 years, but just a very effective way for lead conversion into sales.
Cliff talked about something that they're thinking about doing, which is lead sharing. Now, you guys convert 40%. I don't think I've heard anyone as a builder say that they convert 40%. So that's really high. So you guys are obviously doing a lot right there. So kudos to you. Is there any part of you that's even thought about that? Like, what about the other 60%? What about bringing in outside agents? Has that even been a thought, or is that the first time you'd heard about something like that?
I've heard about it before, but hearing Cliff talk through it, it's an interesting conversation. I think there's a huge need for sure for buyers that have home to sell contingencies, because those aren't converting as well. So that'd probably be where I would attack it first, is buyers that come to us that have a home to sell, to find a strategic partner that we trust and can give us good information if this thing's actually going to sell and convert, would probably be my recommendation, is where I'd start. And then, go from there on what other type of lead sharing activities are out there.
That makes sense, because that's my last guess was Blake Outlaw. I don't know if you saw some of his, but that's exactly what he does. Is he helps builders convert more by providing a service to get bridge financing for them so that they can buy without selling, and then he'll help them sell after they buy. And he said, I think the example he uses is builders were converting at 6%, and now with his help, they're converting at like 35. So like you guys are already converting at 40. So your numbers are already up front are much better. But he's getting a ton of business from solving that exact problem. So I think that would be interesting if you can find people like Blake who can, maybe there's a super VIP program. I don't know, but that is what I always tell agents, is like, don't go to builders asking for what they can do for you, but what you can do for them, and try and solve their problems, and that'll come full circle.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity to give them business on really good clientele.
Very interesting. So last question was, the Olympics are coming. You guys got any plans for that?
No, the state of Utah, is super excited to host the Olympics again. When Utah hosted them the first time, the impact it had on the overall economy was amazing. And so there's just a ton of buzz right now in the city. And I think everyone's just trying to be strategic on, like, how do we take advantage of this unique opportunity when it comes to market. So there's a lot of conversation happening behind the scenes to how do we leverage this event, to help the company.
Amazing, man. Well, I'm very curious to see how that goes, and it's on my list now to visit St. George to go play a round of golf.
Please, it's awesome.
I'll hit you up when I come down. Maybe we can go to a hockey game. Well, Mike, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast and sharing your wisdom. You've worked for a lot of builders in many markets, and you have a really broad perspective of how this stuff works. So just wanted to thank you, man, for coming on and sharing your wisdom today.
Yeah, you bet. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. So if you are an agent or a builder, make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you can, if you want to find out how Agent Launch can help you generate new construction leads, build project sites, edit videos, and more, you can go to agentlaunch.com, and we'll see you all in the next episode.